When I was 15 years old, I started making money online, and over the years, that's compounded to over $500,000 earned by the age of 21, and my friends, this is that story. I would say the biggest key to my success up until this point is starting so young, because when you think about it, 6 years is a pretty realistic timeline to make $500,000. The only thing that makes it slightly more impressive is my age, so for those of you guys starting today that actually put the work in, I think getting similar if not better results is 100% possible. But with that out of the way, skipping past YouTube videos and selling candy at school, since that comes into play later in this story, the next major side hustle I got into was flipping items from AliExpress in 2017. Although AirPods had come out a year prior, they weren't super popular yet, and a lot of people were still rocking with the corded headphones.
What the fuck?
So I found a knockoff pair of these headphones on AliExpress for just $3, ordered just 20 units of the product to my house with money I saved up selling candy, and when all of the headphones came in, I listed them on eBay for $12.99 with the title of Apple style headphones. My goal was to capitalize on people who wanted the Apple version of my product but didn't want to spend the extra money, and this strategy worked out pretty well. Within just a few days, I sold out of all of my inventory, turning my $60 investment into $200 after shipping expenses. I was hooked. Just the feeling of getting a sale is probably what a lot of people feel when they hit 21 in blackjack or get a 3-star in Clash of Clans. Or maybe that's just me. But just as my future was looking bright, I learned a good old lesson in the art of customer service. The headphones I was selling were terrible quality. Some of the units didn't work, the cords would break apart, and I remember my dad even bought a couple of headphones from me, and within just a few days, the headphones would break and no longer be functional. I started getting return requests, angry messages, and eventually eBay took down my listing for selling counterfeit goods.
Realistically, these events transpired over a few month period, so it took a little while before my eBay account actually got banned. But by the end of it all, I was only a few $100s above what I started with.
So I knew I had to regroup. My initial technology startup had failed, so after watching some YouTube videos, I came across 2 YouTube channels that changed my trajectory throughout the next year. First up, this guy David Kosciuszko made a YouTube video talking about how he started reselling phones after going bankrupt in 2012. He said he'd simply post ads on platforms like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist saying, "I pay cash for phones." Then when people would reach out to him with a device to sell, he'd appraise it on eBay sold listings and offer that person $50 to $100 less for it than he knew he could sell it for. Luckily enough, a lot of times people would take him up on his offer, and over the next 6 years, Dave would go on to sell over $2 million worth of product on eBay, also starting a successful cell phone repair business, which he now earns over $1 million a year from. Hearing his story, I just knew I had to get started, so I jumped right in, posting it out on Craigslist just like he suggested, and I remember within about a day, I got a deal for both an iPhone 6s and a Samsung Galaxy S7. This was most of the money I had at the time, but I knew if things worked out, I would be set to earn around $150 in profit. So I asked my dad to drive me to the phone meetup, and I remember once I showed up, both of the phones weren't turning on. During the meetup, the guy mentioned that both of the phones simply had to be charged and then they'd work fine. And being very naive and not knowing any better at the time, I took the guy at his word and bought the phones with almost all of my money. And pretty quickly I realized after trying to plug the phones in that they weren't functional at all. I had lost all of my investment. Now at this point is where most people would have quit and gotten a minimum wage job at the movie theater or McDonald's like most of my friends were doing at the time. But having that entrepreneurial spirit, I knew I just had to re-strategize. So I found some YouTube videos from this guy Kish's Ronnie, who eventually became one of my best friends. He was a 22-year-old making videos about his phone flipping journey, and he made a bunch of educational content about what to look for before purchasing a phone to resell, how not to get scammed, and using his advice along with some money I saved up mowing lawns and selling candy at school, I began getting my first few successful flips. My bankroll quickly went from the 3 to 4-figure club. We're moving up in the world, baby, and multiple times per week, my dad was driving me to go meet up with often sketchy characters to buy phones from.
There were multiple times where I thought I was about to be robbed, people didn't show up to phone meetups, or I even had one lady who'd sell me brand new in-box phones week after week for a really good price. It turns out she was financing these phones from carrier stores, never paying the payments, and selling them to me at that reduced price. And now that I think about it, I also had another lady who would sell me extremely nice phones week after week, and I always wondered why she'd sell them for so cheap until one day she called me on the phone and asked, "Do you have any opioids to trade for a phone?" And keep in mind, I'm like a 16-year-old kid and I'm not from Compton or the Bronx where kids, I guess, do that for fun.
But as time went on, I started paying some of my my friends with driver's licenses to take me to phone meetups, and by the time I was 16 years old, I had done over $40,000 of sales on eBay reselling old phones. My business was thriving, and this was my eBay profile. Just look at that picture. But before we continue on with the story, one thing you'll notice is simply surrounding myself around like-minded people, especially through the internet, fostered a lot of my success. And our sponsor Skillshare is a great way to do this. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of courses and members ready to take the next step in their creative journey. It's a place to get inspired, learn new skills, and put those skills to work in impactful ways. So let's say you want to build a business in graphic design. Skillshare has an entire 4-hour-long course taught by an industry pro, which goes into how to use Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. You can then use this information you learned to start your very own graphic design business, whether it's creating thumbnails for YouTubers at $50 each, or you start a business creating logo designs for new companies starting out. You just learned a new skill and monetized it. Whether it's video editing, cooking, photography, business, marketing, Skillshare has literally so many courses to offer. And be sure to hurry up, since only the first 500 of you guys who use my link down below get access to the 1 month free on the platform. So make sure you guys redeem that, and now let's get back into the story. Around this point in my journey was when I wanted to take things to the next level. I had already achieved the 5-figure club, but I wanted to get to that precious 6-figure club, and a major thing that was trending at the time was social media marketing. A lot of people on the internet were talking about how with just a few clients, they were making $10,000 or $20,000 a month running Facebook ads for different business owners, so I decided to give it a try. I partnered up with the YouTuber I mentioned earlier, Kish's Rowney, and together we started a social media marketing agency targeting landscaping business owners to help them get more clients. And to get started, I started reaching out to hundreds of landscaping business owners on LinkedIn, and after getting ghosted a lot, we started booking some meetings. The company I started was called Jumpstart Media, and my offer to these landscaping business owners was $1,500 per month plus $1,000 monthly for ad spend, and in return, I will get them a bunch of new clients for their landscaping business, along with engagement and posts on their company's social media. I probably took over 40 meetings in 6 months with 0 clients to show for it. I think the fact that I was 16 years old and looked 12 definitely didn't help, but I'd already been posting on social media for years prior to this, and my partner Kish had 10,000 subscribers, so that definitely gave us at least a little bit of credibility. But around this point, Kish decided to leave the business to focus on real estate wholesaling, where he became very successful. I realized at this point that a lot of landscaping business owners actually have more clients than they can handle, and a lot of them will have difficulty if they scale up in clientele, as they're limited by time. So I decided to switch my niche entirely to instead target course sellers, more specifically people selling a course on how to start a podcast. I reached out to people who had podcast courses on this platform Udemy, and I offered the same management service to them. And to my surprise, within a few weeks of making the switch, I got 2 new clients for my business at $1,500 per month each. I now was making $1,500 a month for my phone flipping business and $3,000 monthly for my marketing agency. I thought I was a baller. I thought I made it, but pretty quickly things began to go downhill as I realized to actually keep my clients, I had to provide them with good results. You see, I'm probably the first person of all time to scam the person selling the courses and not the other way around, and that definitely wasn't on purpose. A lot of the SMMA gurus at the time were saying get the clients first, then figure out how to provide the service later, and for me at least, that didn't really work out. But one thing that really sucked is a big reason that these companies wanted to work with me is they saw I was a young kid trying to hustle, and they wanted to give me a chance, but after letting them down over a period of 3 months, that once promising business eventually fizzled out. But remember when I said selling candy and making YouTube videos would come back into the story later? Well, throughout this entire time, I was making YouTube videos about my journey, and 2 years in, I had reached 2,000 subscribers. And being so close to the 4,000 watch hours you need for YouTube monetization, I decided to go all in on my channel. I put 10 times the effort into each YouTube video than I ever did before. I spent time learning about the YouTube algorithm, and I even joined a YouTube mastermind with other small YouTubers meeting weekly trying to grow their channel. And by the end of the summer going into my junior year, my YouTube channel had gained some serious traction. I had a feeling I was about to get rich. I went from 18,000 views in August to my first $121 in YouTube AdSense earned the next month, to doubling things the month after that. And around this time is when I made a YouTube video titled "I sold candy at school for 1 week" that literally changed my life forever. Are you guys ready to see how much I earned in November of 2019? Boom, $2,804.11 with 500,000 views and nearly 10,000 subscribers gained. And I finished the year with 1.3 million channel views, 20,000 subscribers, and almost $7,000 of that sweet YouTube ad revenue. YouTube has always been a dream job for me, and I started my first channel in 7th grade called Slow Reactions, where I would drop things like water balloons and put it in slow motion. Over the years, I eventually converted it to CW Productions, a group channel I did with my friend Carson at the time, where we do vlogs or challenges, and by my freshman year of high school, he quit the channel, so it became solely my channel where I did videos about things like my hamster George at the time. I remember this initial channel all came to an end during my freshman year of high school. I joined a soccer team, and on that team, only one of my friends knew about my videos, but on a bus ride to one of our games, he showed it to just one of his friends, and word spread like wildfire. Literally everyone on the team found out about my channel. Now, for whatever reason at the time, making YouTube videos wasn't cool yet, despite creators like Casey Neistat or Roman Atwood already making millions. And on that same bus ride where everyone on my team found out about my YouTube channel, I not only unlisted but deleted over 100 videos I had posted. So stupid of me. And for the rest of the year, I got to hear people on my soccer team recite the cringy intro I had at the time that goes a little something like this. What is up, people of the internet, and welcome to another video. And to top things off, at the end of the year, the soccer team had an award ceremony, and everyone got awards like Best Striker, Hardest Worker, and guess what I got? Best YouTube Content. Nowadays, I'd find that funny, but at the time, I was totally embarrassed. But that entire experience taught me that what people think about what you're doing doesn't matter whatsoever unless they're at a place you want to be. So the day school ended my freshman year, I decided to give YouTube another shot, and I started the channel you guys see today, with what I'd hope is a slightly better intro.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for coming to my first ever YouTube video, and welcome to the Financial Wolf channel.
Maybe not, but thankfully I got a lot better at making videos over time, and things really paid off in 2020 as I earned $34,000 just from YouTube AdSense. On top of that, I did some of my first sponsorships this year, I worked on some affiliate marketing projects, and I continued doing side hustles for all of my content. By the end of 2020, I had earned my first $100,000 by the time I was 18 years old. Going into 2021, this was the year I graduated high school. The coronavirus pandemic was still in full swing, and I got to continue doing my schoolwork online. Just from YouTube AdSense this year, we made $67,000, and between everything, including new side hustles I found, from flipping sneakers to starting a TikTok page to continuing phone flipping, and of course sponsors and affiliates, I made over $100,000 in 2021, and I achieved a long-time goal of making $10,000 in a single month. I used to think $10,000 a month was a ton of money, but once you get there, you realize
you cannot live on 400 grand a year.
And after getting absolutely life-changing advice back in 2020 from Grant Cardone,
you make about 3 to 4K a month from your online. Go 10x bigger now. If you're thinking 3 or 4, think 30 to 40.
I began thinking, how can I 10x my income? Only then can I afford the Lamborghini I've always wanted. After hitting $10,000 per month in income, I thought the best way to get to the next level was to move around people with a similar mindset as me. So after just a couple months of living in my own apartment, I decided to break my lease early, drop the couple college classes I was taking, and pack my bags for my first stop in Phoenix, Arizona. I had some friends from high school there at the time who were selling solar panels door to door. It was in Phoenix, Arizona where I got into the business of renting cars on Turo, buying the biggest lemon car of all time. And just like that, everyone, my car is getting towed by the tow truck literally within 24 hours of buying it. And eventually, after spending thousands on repairs, I drove that rental car to my next destination in Austin, Texas. I had a YouTube friend moving there who was absolutely crushing it, and we decided to get a house together to focus on making YouTube videos and growing our channels as much as possible. It was during this time that my channel went on quite a run. I went from making $10,000 per month to $20,000 per month, and I ended 2022 earning $187,000 with $80,000 from YouTube ad revenue. But there was one problem. I hated Austin, and not the people by any means, but the weather absolutely sucked. You see these leaves on the ground? I'm personally someone who loves seasons, and although I met a bunch of cool people in Austin, I had a great time. I missed my parents, and I also missed my dog Big Steve. So at the end of 2022, I decided to move back to Milwaukee, and
and after renting an apartment for 8 months, I was able to purchase this house thanks to the cheaper real estate prices in the Midwest.
I forgot to mention this, but in Austin, I started getting way more involved in Turo, buying another car to rent out. And then when I first got back to Milwaukee, I purchased yet another car for $25,000. I also got involved in a Turo startup that now manages over 70 vehicles, but earlier this year, I exited that business to get a little more capital to put down on this house.
I do hope to get back into Turo pretty soon, but nonetheless, we ended 2023 with around $5,000 in trip earnings.
Also, from YouTube ad revenue this year, I earned $65,479.78 the first 11 and a half months of the year, which apparently is 1% less than last year, despite more views, more watch hours, more subscribers. I think it's because my ad rates are down significantly due to some of my most popular videos this year being demonetized. But even with that hit on my income, some of my other sources like sponsorships, affiliate marketing, or some of the hustles you guys see me do in these videos like pallet flipping, TikTok shop, or Bitcoin mining brings me to a little over $200,000 of income for this year. And my goal for next year is to get those total earnings up from $500K to $1 million, baby. I also want to hit 400,000 subscribers. And before you guys go, be sure to check out the sponsor Skillshare at the top link down below. Also, let me know your goals for 2024, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.